I gotta throw some wrestling into here. Why not? Let's talk Jinder Mahal, WWE Champion. If you're not familiar with good old Jinder, he came back to the WWE. What was it? Earlier this year. He came back looking a little soft in the belly. Not in the best shape of his life, but boy, did he get into the best shape of his life soon after. He got ripped. He got absolutely ripped. There was a short storyline thing. Where was it? He beat up what's his name from the 3-man band, his partner, to get a contract, Heath Slater. So he ends up getting a contract. He shows up on SmackDown or whatever. He was bound. I think it was on Raw at first, and he goes to SmackDown. Whatever. He gets absolutely ripped. I mean, shredded. This guy. Keep in mind, this was a guy that was always treated and looked at as a joke for the most part. He was in the 3-man band with Heath Slater. Slater stayed around. He was a tag team champion with Rhino. And then Drew McIntyre, the third man in, got released. Goes to, he went to like TNA. Was pretty good there. And he comes back, Drew McIntyre, and comes back, and now he's at NXT, and people are excited about him. So it's like they went from being treated as jokes, all of these guys. They come back after a year or two to the WWE, a couple of years. And I was upset when they broke up the 3-man band. I thought they were very entertaining and fun, and they were doing exactly what was asked from them, and the people actually liked them at the time for being just, lovable, quote-unquote, jobbers or enhancement talent or bottom of the card. So they come back. Jinder Mahal comes back. Again, they keep talking about, he's very shredded, he's ripped. Yes, he got into good shape. Probably without the use of supplements because they now do random drug testing. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. But he's still treated as a jobber at first. So he loses very easily and quickly, for example. 1 week, right before this push I'll talk about. He loses to, let's see. What was his name again? I'm tired. It's hard to do this without Ian. Finn Balor comes back, and he kicks the shit out of Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal actually elbows him for real and actually kind of knocks him loopy. Actually gave him a concussion, Finn Balor. But that's who, for his whole career, Jinder Mahal was just a guy to get beat up on. Because, he was average in the ring at best. Charisma, okay. Mic skills, below average. So he was never going to be a guy that would ever be even, Intercontinental Champion or United States Champion. So he goes from being an enhancement talent to winning, winning a match, a fatal 4-way or 5-way. He wins this match to become number 1 contender for the WWE Championship against Randy Orton. And people are like, well, this is interesting. Is there no one else that wants to fight for this championship that WWE wants to really push at this point? Orton maybe just needs someone to fight for a month or two, until we get back to, a place where we have real challengers again. And something in my head told me something else was up for this. Something was up that since there was no build at all to Jinder Mahal being a number 1 contender, pushing him into a main event, that something strange has been happening. And the best I could look at it is that WWE looked at their WWE Network subscribers and said, holy shit, we have way more subscribers in India than we thought we had before, or at least that we even knew about. Let's cater to that audience, give them someone that they could identify with in their culture, in their country, and then see what happens. And maybe this could be the start of something bigger. Let's establish a star for the most populous country on the planet and see what happens. A huge market that they could get into and maybe do more live events there, and maybe then develop other wrestlers of Indian descent or directly from India. And I think that's what really was happening here on this decision to really push Jinder Mahal into the main event. But, well, holy shit, was it done awkwardly because there was no build-up. See, when you're telling stories, you have to establish threats, whether it's a villain in a story. That's always why when you watch like any movie with a villain or any movie with like a super villain, they show them doing bad things to people early on to show not just the motivation of the characters, but also to say, hey, this is a threat. this person's bad news. Watch out for them. The problem with Jinder Mahal is that they never did that before thrusting him into the main event. So it never gave the fans an opportunity to, in quote-unquote the story, to take him seriously. Pat, wrestling's fake. Yes, we all know it's fake, but there are logical storylines that wrestling fans look for and expect. If they don't think in the story, the same thing with a movie or TV show, if they don't think that the character is a real threat to the protagonist or the hero, they're going to be like, what the fuck are you doing? It would be like in the Amazing Spider-Man movie, that instead of Spider-Man facing, like, I don't know, Electro, for example, they have, a street mugger or car thief come out of almost nowhere and then fight Spider-Man for the last 20 minutes of the film and put up a good fight. You'd be in the movie theater like, what the fuck is this? I haven't seen this mugger before. And now he's just coming and beating up Spider-Man with like the purse he robbed from the the old woman on the street. It screws with your mind, and your suspension of disbelief just vanishes. It implodes. And that's the problem with Jinder Mahal. So they go from a guy that wasn't taken seriously before, ever, a guy who never won a real match of importance, to now being in the main event for the WWE Championship. So he faces Randy Orton. What was it? Payback? He faces him, and he beats him. Again, if you had established this guy as a credible threat before, beaten some other superstar, some guys in the mid-card, maybe, over the course of 3-4 months, you put him in some tag matches where he shows he's somewhat competent in being a quote-unquote good wrestler and being a threat. If you did that over the course of like 4, 5, 6 months, instead of just 1 month and you just fucking throw it at us and shove it down our throats, I think we'd be more accepting of that. I think that would be something that the fans would be like, okay, this makes sense to us in terms of the storyline. So he comes back at Backlash, not Payback. At Backlash, he defeats Randy Orton. Now, it was with some interference where Orton's back was turned. He was fighting off the two little assistants. And he defeats Randy Orton in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3, with his finisher, Cobra Clutch Slam. So where do you go from here? I don't know, but this establishes a weird precedent now. Now, since WWE looked at the fact that, okay, we have a demographic here we should cater towards, let's do that. Now, they threw away all the rules of wrestling, so to speak, in order to do this. Hot shot the title onto someone that was never a threat before. And so now you're in a weird spot. Because what if now this becomes the modus operandi? Where, okay, here's I don't know, all of a sudden we have a ton of people from South Africa that are into the WWE network. Let's cater to that audience. We'll get a South African wrestler to come on board. We'll give him a major title just because. But you know what? They can get away with that. Because what's happened here with Jinder Mahal shows where their business is. Live events, yes, you make money there. Yes, you make money with having it on TV, SmackDown, Raw. But they're looking at that $9.95 a month for 12 months, $120 a year, coming from, tens of millions of people. That's what they're looking at. That's what the WWE is afterwards. And that's the path they see with a strange to you and me move like this, putting the title on someone just because they're of Indian descent and they were never a threat before or taken seriously at all before. Hell, they cut away to people in the audience. Remember when they cut away to people being of disbelief that The Undertaker lost to Brock Lesnar a couple years ago? They cut the people laughing and like, oh my God, I can't believe they let a jobber win the WWE Championship. It's amazing that they did this, but this is just a symptom of the direction I think the business, and in particular the WWE has gone. We'll see how long they decide to keep the title on Jinder Mahal. Yes, it was the fact that Vince loves guys that are ripped, and Jinder Mahal did get ripped. He got shredded. He got down to freaking 5% body fat or something. I wish I was in that much of shape. But that's not enough to give a guy a championship. It was the huge demographic that the WWE thinks he represents. What's going to be funny, though, is that maybe the fans in India don't necessarily like him just because he's of Indian descent. Maybe they just want a good character, and Jinder still has to develop, to me, a good character. And plus, he's a heel. So I don't know. I mean, it worked with Bret Hart when he was a heel Canadian, but he was also a face for many years before that, and sort of, he still was pro-Canadian. Jinder is, he's pro-India, but he's also, slagging off America every chance he gets. I'm not sure if that appeals to, someone in India necessarily, because he's not exactly coming across as a nice guy overall. I don't know. I'm just postulating, but that's where you're at. Jinder Mahal is your WWE champion. The 50th one, by the way.